Conservative New Media viewers, Jeremy Lin fans around the world, what's up? It's me, PFV, Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert, and we're here to discuss Brooklyn's 106-101 loss tonight to the Philadelphia 76ers in Brooklyn, New York. Philadelphia improves to 28-46 on the season. Brooklyn falls to 16-58 on the year. Also, Philadelphia is now 3-0 against the Nets this season, and the teams will meet one more time this year. Stats very quickly. Dario Saric, 23.7 rebounds. He looked great in this game. I didn't realize how quickly this guy's improving. He looks really good. He is going to be a tremendous NBA player, and I thought it would take him more time to adjust to the NBA game. I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's a rookie. I mean, he's a young guy coming over from Europe, and I think he's like 6'10". He has tremendous skill level, and he's going to be a really good player. And I was just impressed with how he played tonight. Robert Covington, 21 points, 13 rebounds. TJ McConnell, 8 points, 10 assists. Turning to the Nets, the reason why the Nets lost this game, there's a couple different reasons. Statistically and numerically, they lost because they got outplayed in the fourth quarter. They were outscored by 4 points in the fourth quarter, and they went into the fourth quarter down by only 1 point. So this game was up for grabs in the fourth quarter, and quite simply, Philadelphia executed better down the stretch than the Nets did. And they deserved to win, and they won. That's basically the overview of what happened. On another level, they lost, the Nets did, because the bench got outplayed. Usually the bench comes in and they're all like their plus minus is all positive. But tonight, almost all of them were negative. And the Sixers bench outplayed them, and that really hurt because in general, the plus minus of all the Nets starters was positive. So this fell tonight more on the bench. What's really disappointing for the Nets is that Philadelphia was missing multiple players in this game. They were missing Joel Embiid. They were missing Jahlil Okafor. They were missing several other important players on their team. And so Philadelphia came in. They were the underdog in this game by like 3 points. And it looked like Brooklyn didn't take the Sixers seriously enough. And the Sixers outscored Brooklyn by 7 points in the first quarter. And really, that was if you look at the final score, that was pretty much it right there. It took Brooklyn time to kind of find their motivation in this game. And if you listen to the two videos that I've done this year when Brooklyn played Dallas, that's what the Sixers looked like tonight, which is to say they weren't afraid of Brooklyn at all. They had a lot of confidence. And Brooklyn gave Philadelphia even more confidence in this game because they didn't play seriously for quite a while. And once you give the opponent confidence, it's much harder to take it away then. Once you allow them to build momentum, then you have a problem. And that's what happened in this game. I think that the Nets they thought they were going to win tonight. And they thought Philadelphia, they don't have a lot of guys. Many of their best guys are out. We're going to show up and we're going to win. And it didn't work out like that. And after the game, I got to see the interviews with Coach Atkinson, Brook Lopez, and Jeremy. And that's pretty much what they said without coming out and saying it. I mean, you can't say, yeah, we just thought we were going to be better tonight. You don't want to disrespect your opponent. But Coach Atkinson was like, look, they had the energy and we didn't. Brook Lopez was like, yeah, it's disappointing. We just kind of didn't have the juice. We just weren't into it. And Jeremy was definitely disappointed because he had his own struggles tonight, although he played well overall. And you could just see it in all three of those guys. They knew they should have won this game, but they messed it. They messed it up. And sometimes you will hear the term messing around with the game. And what that means is you're not playing the right way. You're taking your opponent lightly. You're just goofing around. You're not focused. And therefore you are quote unquote messing around with the game. Like it's like playing with fire. And with the thought being, if you mess around with the game, you're gonna get yours. The basketball gods are gonna look unfavorably upon you, so to speak. And that's what happened in this game. And Coach Atkinson gave all the credit to Philadelphia, and that's exactly what you have to do in a game like this. Look, Brooklyn should have won. They should have played harder from the start. But you know, Philadelphia showed up. They weren't afraid. They weren't feeling sorry for themselves because they were down a bunch of guys. They felt like they could win, and they won. And that's it. And Brooklyn has nobody to blame but themselves. That's what it was. That's pretty much why they lost the game tonight. Now let's turn to the statistics for Brooklyn. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, 11.7 rebounds. Brooke had a really nice game, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Again, I mentioned the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. That was nice. KJ McDaniels, 6 points. Sean Kilpatrick, who played his first game in quite a while, coming back from the hamstring injury, 9 points off the bench. Coach played, looks like he played he played 11 men, so he went back to the 11-man rotation rather than just the 10-man rotation. He actually played 12 men. He put in Justin Hamilton for 5 minutes. And, look, he used almost the entire bench. Guys were productive, but another thing that happened in this game was that the Nets' second unit is small, and usually they're faster than their opponents. Like they're used to being more athletic and quicker than the bench teams they go against. But tonight that wasn't the case. Philly's bench seemed very quick and very athletic also. And I think that kind of shook up the Nets bench a little bit, or they weren't ready for it. And that kind of threw things off. Plus, Kilpatrick seemed to be handling the ball quite a bit, even more so than Dinwiddie, which you wouldn't think that would be the case because Dinwiddie's a point guard and Kilpatrick is not. That might have thrown things off a little bit. Sean was dominating the ball quite a bit, maybe a little too much, even though he shot the ball well. That might have thrown the rhythm off of the offense for the second unit a little bit as well. Like I said, it's more about what Philly did and what Brooklyn didn't do. It's not that they played so poorly, they just didn't play with enough energy. Now let's talk about Jeremy's night. 11 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Jeremy played 30 minutes, which is the most he's played since coming back from the third hamstring injury. And now here it just says 30 minutes. There might be, maybe it's 29 minutes and 45 seconds. I don't know. Jeremy's only played 30 or more minutes this season like 4 times. So if he did actually get to 30 minutes, that would be the first time since he's come back on the third hamstring injury, and it would be one of the rare times this season that he's played that many minutes. He shot 4 of 14 from the field, so his shootings was off tonight, and it's been a little bit off the last couple games, particularly from three-point range. He was 0 of 4 from three-point range tonight, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 4 steals, which is fantastic, no block shots, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. His plus-minus was a +1. Jeremy overall played well in this game, but there were 2 things that were tough for him. One, he didn't shoot that great, percentage-wise. And number two, he had a little bit of struggles down the stretch of this game. There were a couple plays down the stretch of this game. The game was close. Jeremy, one, he had a turnover late. And two, he got beat on a backdoor play where his man got behind him and Jeremy fouled T.J. McConnell, who he was guarding. T.J. McConnell got 2 free throws and he hit both of them. Those 2 plays were difficult for Jeremy. Look, we know Jeremy's a clutch player and he plays well down the stretch. I don't care how good you are, some nights are better than other nights. And tonight wasn't Jeremy's best clutch performance. But so what? He still had some really good moments in the fourth quarter. He had some really good moments, and he was controlling the game pretty well in the fourth quarter. He had a lot of passing down the stretch. Just like I said, his shot was off. And he said after the game, we know how hard Jeremy is on himself. You know, he's his own biggest critic. And as I said, he was clearly disappointed after the game. And he said something like, look, if I would have shot better, we wouldn't have been in this position. So he knows, you don't have to tell him anything. He knows what happened and what he did and what he didn't do. But still, one, Jeremy handles that much better than he used to. He's not going to beat himself up hours and hours and days about it. Everybody has good games and they have bad games, and you move on to the next game. And number two, he still played well. He still played well in this game. And when you look at this game, you have to keep things in perspective and you have to have context. I was just talking to some people on Twitter, and people are all mad that Jeremy's not shooting well the last few games, and people are blaming the Nets, and Jeremy's not getting a fair shake, and they're not running the right offense for him, and this and that. Look, I put out a tweet just a few minutes ago saying, Jeremy's played in 29 games this season, including tonight's game. He's scored in double figures in 25 of them. And that includes all the games where he was coming back from injury, where he only played like 16 minutes. That percentage, 25 divided by 29, I don't know what that is off the top of my head, 80-something, I would imagine. That's the best percentage of his career. It's better than Linsanity here. So even though he's in a little bit of a shooting slump and this is a disappointing loss, let's keep it in perspective here. Jeremy is having a great year. This is by far his best year since Linsanity in terms of advanced statistics and things. And he's doing well. And like I said, not every play is going to be run for him. Not every night's going to be a super shooting night. Not every night is he going to perform exactly the way that he wants to down the stretch. That's basketball. That's what it is. That's how it works for everybody. But the more you do it, the easier it gets. The more comfortable you get, it just gets simpler and simpler. But what's great with Jeremy is his skills keep getting better and better. Now, I said that he had 7 assists in this game. He had about 10 would-be assists. So there were a number of unconverted assist opportunities in this game for Jeremy. So he could have easily had 11, 12 assists in this game. So, like I said, look at the whole picture. I just can't get upset every single night, even when you lose. And I know Jeremy and the team is upset they lost this game. I mean, I think if you gave them truth serum, they would tell you, we should have won this game, and we expected to win this game, and we didn't have enough effort at the start. It's like they expected the Sixers were just going to kind of lay down, and it didn't happen like that. So, that's how it goes. I mean, the good thing is that this isn't, the Nets aren't in a playoff hunt. So this isn't like some incredible finishing blow for them. It's disappointing because if they win this game, then they're 8-8 in the month of March. Then they're won 4 of their last 5 games. So it is disappointing. You do want to win these games. But it happens. It happens no matter how good you are, no matter how bad you are. Everybody goes through great stretches and they go through tougher stretches. The Nets aren't in a tough stretch. They just had a tough game. And that's about it. Otherwise, like I said, Jeremy played well. He did. And so let's move on to the next game. And what's nice is they are running more. I think they're running more pick and roll with Jeremy and Brooke. Brooke and Jeremy are getting more chemistry. They're getting more synergy. I mean, remember, they haven't had a lot of time to play together this season. And so you need to develop that heading into next season, assuming that Brooke is going to be back next year. You have to develop that rhythm and that kind of that balance and that understanding and feel for one another. So they're getting a chance to do that right now and just kind of working the kinks out of that now. So hopefully it'll be smoother and better and ready to go next year. So, and like I said, this isn't all about Jeremy. The rest of the guys didn't have a tremendous amount of energy in this game either. So it's like this is not all falls upon Jeremy's shoulders. I thought that just the team in general wasn't focused enough. And like I said, it's a natural letdown. You see, you're playing somebody, a bunch of their guys are out, and you think you're going to win easily. I mean, it happens all the time. So that's pretty much it in terms of just kind of the overview of tonight's game. So let me go quickly through my notes, the quarter by quarter here. I don't have too many. Yeah, the first note is Brooklyn is taking Philadelphia too lightly. That was in the first quarter. You could just see it. They just weren't into it. Going in the second quarter, Philadelphia is small and matching Brooklyn's small ball. That's what I said in terms of the second unit, which is a pretty short unit for the Nets, going with Quincy Acey at center. But they're athletic, and again, they're used to being more athletic and quicker than their opponent, and I don't think that was the case tonight because Philadelphia was also playing quite small in the first unit and the second unit because they're missing Embiid, they're missing Okafor, they're missing their big guys, and they had to play just smaller, which really helped Brooke have a good night. That's one of the reasons why Brooke had such a great night. But the Nets' second unit, maybe that they're not used to matching up with teams that are kind of the same way as they are in the second unit, and that was kind of what it was tonight. Jeremy, he had one move in the second quarter where he drove to the rim, and it was what did I see here? Yeah, he went for a left-handed layup. He drove to the basket and he lost his man. Like his man was in the dust. But he wasn't able to finish the layup with his left hand. Sometimes that happens to Jeremy. And it's something that needs to work on just a little bit. And I think part of the reason why this happens for Jeremy is he's not super explosive. Meaning, if you're a guy that jumps and you get a lot of hang time, you have more time to kind of get your shot up and kind of hang there and adjust and get spin on the ball and everything. If you're not jumping as high or as far, you have less time to do that. And so this is a tiny critique, but it's something where Jeremy can work on finishing a little bit more, a little bit better at the rim. It's just something that comes up. It happens to all players, but it's something that he can continue to work on as his career moves forward. Now, I put a thing in the second quarter. I put Jeremy taking over now. So like I said, if you look at the stats, you look at the shooting, you're going to think, well, I didn't really do that much, but he actually did a lot. He just has these energy surges where he can just dominate the game with passing, with defense. He'll take a charge. He just forces a tempo And that's one of the reasons why he's so effective. And he was able to do that in the second quarter and do it well. And he did it later in the game too, I believe, in the fourth quarter also. Then moving on into the third quarter, I have a similar note that says Lin taking over with passing now. So like I said, many of the passes Jeremy had tonight were missed shots, unfortunately. And some of the credit for that goes to Philly because maybe they blocked some shots or they altered shots. Some of it was unfocused Brooklyn players who just didn't finish shots even though they were right there to be finished. Like I said, it was a team-wide thing. The entire team, I felt, took the Sixers too lightly, and they paid for it. Moving into the fourth quarter, say Brooklyn bench not getting it done. So as I said, the bench is usually a major strength of the team, but tonight was a little bit of a weakness. Not a major weakness, but enough of a weakness where that might have been the difference in the game. And in terms of plus minus, it was the difference in the game. And like I said, you can't get too crazy about any of this. Brooklyn is a young team with a bunch of new players, meaning guys that have never played with one another before. They've had a bunch of injuries. They've had a whole bunch of roster turnover. Guys coming in late in the season like Archie Goodwin, like KJ McDaniels, like Quincy Acey. This is what it's going to be. Guys have to get used to one another. They're not the most talented team in the league, although they have gotten more talented as the season has progressed. They've become much more athletically talented than they were earlier in the season. I mean, you're replacing, if you bring in Archie Goodwin and KJ McDaniels and you take out Bojan Bogdanovic and Luis Scola, you're getting more athletic and you're getting younger. Even though Bojan is a better shooter than KJ McDaniels or Archie Goodwin is. So there's kind of some trade-offs there, but the team is athletically better than they were at the start of the year. It's not even close. So, but it's still going to take time. It's still going to take time. All right. Jeremy had a really nice post-up move. I think he posted up T.J. McConnell close to the hoop and did he did a pivot move and stepped through and got a nice little shot on him. That was a really good thing. What we want to be able to, the reason why it's so important for Jeremy to be able to shoot well, because he's not a huge guy in terms of height, and because he's not super explosive in terms of, jumping over everybody, it's just going to be easier on his body and prolong his career the better he can shoot, because then he doesn't have to drive in and get hit all the time, and he doesn't have to work so hard to score. Like, he doesn't have to do a bunch of post-up moves and pivots and stop and fade and all this stuff. The better you can shoot, the easier it is. That's why you'll see Jeremy more this season. He will take very deep three-point shots. Like, he'll take shots from 3 or 4 feet behind the line, the three-point line. And that's because, look, if you can get a clean look and nobody's close to you, that's a good shot, particularly if you're comfortable shooting it from there. And Jeremy's getting more and more comfortable with that. And like I said, okay, he's in a mild shooting slump right now from the perimeter. It doesn't matter. Remember, this was going to be the year when he the shooting form was just locked in. In other words, it's still settling in, and he has missed a bunch of times. So it's not unexpected that there's still going to be a little bit of variance in there and a little bit of up and down, and that's fine. He's still playing well. He's still shooting the ball well. So, one thing that Jeremy did extremely well in the fourth quarter was he himself drew 3 fouls on the Sixers. and we've talked about this before, you want to get the opposing team into the penalty. So after the team, I believe after the team gets 5 fouls of any variety, then every other foul thereafter becomes free throws. And so Jeremy himself drew 3 fouls on Philadelphia. And this was very important in the fourth quarter because Philadelphia got like 13 free throw attempts in the quarter, and I think Brooklyn got 0. That was a big reason why Philadelphia won the fourth quarter and why they won the game. And Jeremy realized one of the things that he could do was try to push Philadelphia into the penalty. And so picking up those fouls on the Sixers was a good strategy. Now, I don't think I don't think Philly ever got into the penalty, but Jeremy did a good job himself of trying to push the game and push Philly into that zone. And that's, like I said, he's got a number of different strategies he can use. He can drive to the basket, he can draw fouls, he can make passes, and so forth. So he did a good job. He did a good job tonight. Like I said, he missed some shots, had a couple tough moments down the stretch, but it's just, again, it's 82 game season, and you get games like this, and it's unfortunate, but every team has this every season. So that's pretty much it for tonight's game. Let's talk about the next game coming up. That game will take place 2 days from now, Thursday, March 30th. It will be against the Detroit Pistons in Detroit, Michigan. Now, the Nets beat Detroit about a week ago, a game that Jeremy missed with the sprained right ankle, and that's where Brook Lopez hit the shot at the buzzer to give the Nets the victory over Detroit. Game will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and you can watch it on Yes Network or NBA League Pass. Detroit has lost 5 games in a row. They are currently out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. So this is going to be another winnable game. This is another winnable situation. Brooklyn is at full health except for Joe Harris. Joe Harris has missed, I think, 14 straight games now with a concussion and then a sprained shoulder, both of which took place on the same play. So Joe, who is a good player and has been a big part of the Nets this year, he's the only guy missing. So the Nets are pretty much at full strength right now. And obviously they have their key players in Jeremy and Brook. So Detroit will probably be favored, but they won't be favored by much. Obviously the Nets know they can beat them. They just beat them. And Detroit's slumping. So it's certainly going to be a good opportunity for the Nets, and hopefully they can learn from tonight's defeat and have more energy at the beginning of that Detroit game so that they can avoid a situation like what happened tonight. That is about all for tonight. I hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care. We will talk to you in about 48 hours from now after the Brooklyn Nets travel to take on the Detroit Pistons in Michigan. Hope you have a nice couple of days between now and then, and we will talk to you